Well, come in this house, woman, looks like it's gonna hail. Come in this house, woman, it looks like it's gonna hail. Come up to my front yard, I'll show you how to jive it with. Well, a woman is a woman and a man ain't nothing but a man. A woman is a woman and a man ain't nothing but a man. One thing I can tell you, they know how to jive and wait. Jump jiving, then you really gotta jump jiving. 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 Then you well away. Well, Daddy's in the icebox looking for a can of ale. Daddy's in the icebox looking for a can of ale. Mama's in the backyard learning how to jive it with. Jump jiving, then you really gotta jump jiving. 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 And then you well away. A woman is a woman and a man ain't nothing but a man. One thing I can tell you, they know how to jive and win. Jump jiving, then you really gotta jump jiving. 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 Then you well away. Well, come in this house, woman, it looks like it's gonna hail. Come in this house, woman, it looks like it's gonna hail. Come on up to my front room, I'll show you how to jive and wheel. Jump jiving, then you really gotta jump jiving. 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 Then you well away. Well, thank you very much. Thank you. Good evening. My name is Son Lewis. I'd like to thank the Friends of the Library and the Linden Public Library for inviting me to come here today and play a little bit. We talk about, you see it was listed as a blues concert, and we do a thing called bluesography because blues is a very misunderstood form of music. Most people don't realize it's America's only truly indigenous form of music. It's music that was born here from no other influences, just American. And it spread. It spread north. It grew up in the South. Rumor had it there was a African-American marching band leader by the name of W.C. Handy, who had a marching band, and he did like Sousa marches, military marches and stuff. And he was changing trains in a place called Tutwiler, Mississippi. And while he was waiting for his train, it was around about midnight, and he was sitting there waiting for his connecting train to come in, and a gentleman was sitting down on a bench at the end of the train stop, and he was playing a guitar, and WC said it was the weirdest music he had ever heard because it was all wrong. all the notes were in the wrong places. And it was repetitive. It kept repeating and repeating, and it gave him a really sad feeling. And he said, as wrong as it was, I just couldn't get it out of my mind. So he got on the train, he copied down on some note paper what he had heard. And he tried to replicate it. He wrote a couple of songs called St. Louis Blues and Memphis Blues, and kind of got popular. But what he had discovered was a form of music that had grown up in the Delta called the Delta Blues. And it influenced lots of forms of music going forward. This is the song W.C. Handy heard. And it reappeared again in the 50s, done by a gentleman by the name of Carl Perkins, and reappeared again, yet again in the late 60s, done by a band from England called the Beatles. Sitting here wondering, said I, with a matchbox clothes, my clothes. Well, I'm sitting here wondering, would a matchbox hold my clothes? I ain't got no many matches, sure got a long way to go. Don't want my peaches, mama, don't mess around my tree. Don't want my peaches, girl, don't mess around my tree. Leave me here, baby, in my misery. Got a woman up in Memphis, crocheting all the time. Got a woman up in Memphis, crocheting all the time. You keep crocheting, mama, gonna lose your worried mind. Tell me, baby, who can your manager be? Won't you tell me, mama, who can your manager be? You can make some room, mama. Can you make some room for me? Going down in Natchez, where the Southern Cross the dog. Well, I'm going down in Natchez, where the Southern Cross the dog. I'm gonna be your man, mama. Won't let you make me walk alone. Well, I'm sitting here wondering, would a matchbox hold my clothes? Well, I'm sitting here wondering, would a matchbox hold my clothes? Ain't got no matches, girlfriend, got a long, long way to go. Well, I ain't got no matches, mama, got a long, long way to go. Thank you. So the blues are sad, right? Yeah, everybody knows the blues are sad. But not always. The blues are a very expressive music, and as it grew, it was kind of neat because it became a music that was very, very easy to grow and to move, because a lot of the guys that were playing the blues were guitar players, and they were itinerants. They didn't want to work hard for a living. So what they would do is they'd hop a train, come into a town, play a couple of juke joints or fish fries, and a couple of rent parties, and hop a train and go to the next town. And around that time, late 30s, the piano started to become really, really popular. But there was a problem. It's easy to jump on a train with one of these. It's a little harder when you're pushing a piano. And when you catch the train, it's hard to get the piano up into the boxcar. So the blues players started to think about, how can I make my guitar sound more like a piano? Because people are asking for, you know, boogie woogie and piano music and stride piano stuff. So a gentleman from the Piedmont region of the Carolinas, who the record companies called Mississippi John Hurt, even though he had never been to Mississippi his entire life, invented this style of playing guitar with his fingers. And he was unique for two reasons. Played with his fingers, and his blues were not sad. His blues were kind of happy and peppy and well, Candyman, I said he'd been here and gone. Candyman, been here and gone. Well, the Candyman, I said he'd been here and gone. Do anything in this God Almighty world to get that Candyman home. Well, Candyman, I cried salty dog. Candyman, I cried salty dog. Well, Candyman, I cried salty dog. Do anything in this God Almighty world to get that Candyman home. Won't you run to the corner, get the baby some beer, yeah, run up to the corner, get the baby some beer, yeah, run up to the corner, get the baby some beer, y'all. Won't you run up to the corner, get the baby some beer, yeah, run up to the corner, get the baby some beer, yeah. Well, it's a little red light, little green light. Little red light, little green light. Well, it's a little red light, it's a little green light. Stop on the red and go on the green. Don't listen to me, stay in between. Well, Candyman, I said he'd been here and gone. Candyman, been here and gone. Well, the Candyman, I said he'd been here and gone. Do anything in this God Almighty world to get that Candyman home. Do anything in this God Almighty world to get that Candyman home. Anybody who was raised in the South or knows anything about the Baptist religion? That's you. Okay. So you know what the blues is, then, don't you? The blues is the devil's music. It's the devil's music. And there's so much that goes into that, because blues did come out of the church. A lot of the people who sang in church on Sundays. They sang at the juke joints on Saturdays. But one of the most interesting stories about the blues and the devil revolves around a young man from Helena, Arkansas, who decided he didn't like working in the fields. He didn't like driving a tractor. He did not want to pick cotton. But he liked the idea that guitar players attracted young girls. So he decided he was going to be a singer and a guitar player. And he would sneak into the juke joints every Friday or Saturday night, and as soon as the band was ready to take a break, they'd put their guitars down, and he'd run up to the stage, and he would grab a guitar and he would start playing and singing. He had a problem. Couldn't sing, couldn't play. He was horrible. So they would wrench the guitar away from him and they'd shoo him out of the juke joint. And this went on for week after week, month after month. And then surprisingly enough, somebody said, "You seen Robert around?" "He hasn't been around." "Hasn't been around." We'd been not around for 2, maybe 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Then nobody thought much about it. They were all kind of relieved because it was a struggle. He was a wiry little boy and it was hard getting the guitar away from him. So Robert shows up one night, sneaks into the back of the juke joint. Sunhouse and Willie Brown were playing that night. They put their guitars down during a break, and Robert shot like a bee to the front of the stage, picked up the guitar, and everybody froze and said, "We can't get him. Oh, we can't get him. He got the guitar." They all started to move towards him because they expected a fight to get the guitar away from him. But a remarkable thing happened. He sat down and he started to play. And the people again froze because there was this beautiful music and this beautiful voice coming out of this guy who 3 weeks ago couldn't carry a tune in a basket. So the rumor went around that he had gone down to the crossroads. And the story and folklore is if you go to the crossroads at midnight with an untuned guitar and wait there, a man will come out of the shadows and he will ask to see your guitar. He will tune your guitar, he'll play a couple of notes, he'll give you back the guitar, and he'll bid you a good evening and disappear back into the night. You would have sold your soul to the devil in exchange for talent. So everyone said this is obviously what happened because nobody could go away and 3 weeks later come back a musical prodigy. Well, as fast as his talent came, word spread about this young man. He got carried off to Dallas, Texas, where he recorded 27 songs for a race record company called Arc Vocalion. And every one of them was a massive hit. Every one of them was a massive hit in the South in the 30s. They just couldn't get these records fast enough. And John Hammond, the Columbia record producer, heard about this guy and said, first of all, we got to sign this guy and we got to bring him up here for the Carnegie Hall concert. Spirituals to swing. I want this young man to open. This is the most beautiful music I've ever heard. I want this young man to open the concert. So he sent a couple people down to Mississippi and Arkansas to look for Robert, and they found that the night before they arrived, Robert Johnson, at the age of 27, had been poisoned on stage by the husband of one of his girlfriends. This is one of his songs. Followed her to the station, suitcase in my hand. Well, I followed her to the station, suitcase in my hand. Well, it's hard to tell, it's hard to tell. All my love's in vain. The train rolled in the station. I looked her in the eye. When the train rolled in the station, looked her in the eye. Well, I was feeling so sad and lonely. Hang my head and I cried. All my love's in vain, baby. Said we, and now Willie Mae. Said we, yeah, Willie Mae. Girl, you is my heartstrings. Be my wife someday. Come on, fry me the beat. Train left the station, 2 lights on behind. When the train left the station, 2 lights on behind. Well, the red light was my baby, blue light was my mind. So the guys that couldn't fingerpick all that well still wanted to get that piano thing happening. So they invented something as the music moved a little farther north from the Delta into Memphis and Kansas City. Something called the shuffle was invented. And we've all heard it as part of the music that we grew up with. It kind of goes. It was kind of like the left hand of a piano beating out that boogie woogie beat. And one of the most famous songs to incorporate the shuffle was a song written by a gentleman I had the pleasure of knowing and working with for the last couple of years of his life, Mr. Jimmy Reed. Jimmy was epileptic and an alcoholic, and people used to say, Jimmy, he loves his wife so much, man. The guy's on stage and his wife is always sitting there right next to him, just huddled up so close and got her head next to his head. And what they didn't realize, and I didn't realize until I had toured with him for a while, Jimmy couldn't remember the words to his songs. So his wife would sit on stage and she would whisper to him while he was playing what the next line of the song was. But he was a fabulous guy. He was a wonderful musician and he wrote great songs. This is a song he wrote, and it's been, since we do a lot of talking about where the blues has gone, this song has been covered by pretty much everybody. Johnny Rivers, Elvis Presley, everybody's done this song. I'm going up, I'm going down, I'm going up, down, down, up, any way you want to roll. Yeah. yeah. You got me doing what you want me. Tell me what you want me to do. I'm going in, I'm going out, I'm going in, out, out, in any way you want to let it roll. Yeah, 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 yeah. You got me doing what you want me. Tell me what you want me to do. When you get up in the morning and you go downtown, I say, don't come home until the sun goes down. Well, okay, honey, what you want me to do? You know I've done all that I can, little girl, but I just can't get along with you. Well, now why don't you treat me like you used to do? You say you know you don't treat me like I want out you. Well, oh baby, honey, what you want me to do? You know I've done all that I can, little girl, but I just can't get along with you. You got me peeping, hiding, peep, hide, hide, peeping any way you want to let it roll. Yeah, 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 yeah. You got me doing what you want me. Tell me what you want me to do. Talked a little bit about the blues in the church. So the blues was influenced by gospel music. Gospel music got brought forward into the 50s and influenced the blues. And rhythm and blues was born out of gospel and blues. This is one of the earliest R&B ballads ever written by a gentleman by the name of Mr. Sam Cooke. If you ever change your mind about leaving me behind, yeah, won't you bring it to me? Bring your sweet loving, bring it on home to me. You know I laughed, yeah, when you left. Now I know I'd only hurt myself. Yeah, won't you bring it to me? Bring your sweet loving, bring it on home to me. I give you jewelry and money too, and that's not all I do for you. Yeah, won't you bring it to me? Bring your sweet loving, bring it on home to me. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. You know I always be your slave till I'm buried in my grave. Yeah, won't you bring it to me? Bring your sweet loving, bring it on home to me. Yeah, yeah. If you ever change your mind about leaving me behind, yeah, won't you bring it to me? Bring your sweet loving, bring it on home to me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Trivia time. Anybody guess what the biggest selling blues song, commercially biggest selling blues song of all time ever was?
Don't step on my blue suede shoes.
Close. Very close.
What did she say?
Blue Suede Shoes. People will say, obviously Stormy Monday or The Thrill Is Gone, and those are all in the top 5. But here's a subtle hint. The biggest selling blues song of all times was recorded by a guy from New Jersey who wasn't Bruce Springsteen. And he couldn't be, if you looked at this guy, you would say, no, that guy is definitely not a blues singer. But he did. He recorded this song in 1968. And it turned out to be the biggest selling blues song of all times. People who bought this record didn't realize it was a blues song. Well, that's life. That's what all the people say. Riding high in arrow, shot down in me. But I'm not gonna let it get me down. 'Cause this big old world keeps spinning around. I said that's life. And funny as it may seem, some people get their kicks stomping on a dream. But if there's nothing coming this 4th of July, I'm gonna roll up on a big bird, I'm gonna fly. I've been a puppet, a pauper, a pirate, a poet, a pawn and a king. I've been up and down and over and out. And I know one thing, each time I find myself flat on my face, I pick myself up and get back in a race. That's life. Funny as it seems, some people get their kick, mama, stomping on a dream. But I'm not gonna let it get me down. 'Cause this big old world keeps spinning around. I've been a puppet, a pauper, a pirate, a poet, a pawn and a king. I've been up and down and over and out. But I know one thing, each time I find myself flat on my face, I pick myself up and get back in a race. That's life. Funny as it seems, some people get that kick stomping on a dream. But if there's nothing shaking this 4th of July, I'm gonna roll myself up in a big ball and die. My, my. Old Blue Eyes. So we're up to the 60s. And the shuffle makes another appearance. but it makes it in the most unlikely place. You remember the shuffle kind of went. You got a smile so bright, you could have been a candle. I'm holding you so tight, you could have been a handle. The way you swept me off my feet, you could have been a broom. Honey, you're so sweet, you could have been some perfume. You could have been anything that you wanted to, and I can tell the way you do the things you do. As pretty as you are, you could have been a flower. Good looks were a minute, you could have been an hour. The way you stole my heart, you could have been a cool crook. And honey, you're so smart, you could have been a schoolbook. You could have been anything that you wanted to, and I can tell the way you do the things you do. You made my life so rich, there could have been some money. And honey, you're so sweet, you could have been some honey. You could have been anything that you wanted to, and I can tell the way you do the things you do. 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 It's funny, I remember songs. I can't remember what I had for lunch today, but I do remember songs. And it's just so much easier. People say, why do you play all those old songs? First of all, I couldn't find a way to justify playing a song by a band that was called Pearl Jam. First of all, I don't understand any of their words. I guess I sound like my dad. Your parents used to say, I don't understand what they're singing. I don't understand what they're singing. I don't understand what they're singing. Maybe it's better I don't. So I had the pleasure of, when I did this full time for a living, when I was a young man and in demand and still looked good in spandex, I used to tour as an opening act for a lot of people. And I had this hero. His name was Sleepy John Estes. He was this blind farmer from Brownsville, Tennessee, who just wrote the greatest songs. And my agent called me up and he said, I have 8 weeks for you. Are you interested? It's an opening act, but it's all by bus. I said, well, who am I opening for? He said, somebody named John Estes. I said, yeah, I'll do it. I didn't even ask how much money it was. I just said, I'll do it. So we show up in Chicago. It was the opening event of the tour. And after the show, we all get to the bus, and I walk up to Sleepy John, and I go, Mr. Estes, I can't tell you how excited I am about this opportunity. You've been a hero of mine ever since I started playing the guitar, and I'm hoping that sometime over the next 8 weeks. He didn't even let me finish the sentence. He turned around and walked away. So I figured, okay, he's an older gentleman, it's late, he's tired. So the next day we would stop for lunch, and I sat down at his booth in the diner, and I said, so could you tell me a little bit about, and he turned away and and he started talking to his wife in the middle of my conversation. I figured maybe he's mad at me. So the third day on the tour, I said, I'd really like to learn this song. And he just, and he walked away again. So Miss Emma was his wife, she walks up to me and she goes, John's a bit partial to bourbon. I said, oh, okay. So next city we stopped in was Des Moines, Iowa. I remember this distinctly. And I found the liquor store and I bought a bottle of Jack Daniels and I brought it back on the bus. And I think he heard the paper bag clank, ruffling up against, and his head went up. And I said, well, I'm not going to waste this. So I opened the Jack Daniels, and I was getting ready to pour myself a drink on the bus. And the next thing I know, he's sitting down next to me, and he says, so what song exactly was it that you wanted to learn? And we became very, very good friends until the bourbon ran out. But he taught me this song. Well, now, drop down, mama, let your daddy see what you got. Something, mama, that keeps on hurrying me. Well, my mama don't allow me stay out all night long. Son, you're awful young, I said, so woman might treat you wrong. Well, get away from my window, stop scratching at my screen. You're the meanest woman this country boy has ever seen. Well, my mama don't allow me stay out all night long. Son, you're awful young, I said, so woman might treat you wrong. Jack of Diamonds told me, Queen of Spades, come on, baby, we're gonna creep away. Well, my mama don't allow me stay out all night long. Son, you're awful young, I said, so woman might treat you wrong. One of these mornings gonna act like a squirrel, take you by the hand and mama walk you all around the world. Well, my mama don't allow me stay out all night long. Son, you're awful young, I said, so woman might treat you wrong. Treat me wrong. Sweetest peaches, well, they don't hang from a tree. Sweetest honey, well, it don't drip from the pea. Well, my mama don't allow me stay out all night long. Son, you're awful young, I said, so woman might treat you wrong. Well, these New Jersey women, well, they sure do make me tired. They got a handful of gimme, got a mouthful of much obliged. Well, my mama don't allow me stay out all night long. Son, you're awful young, I said, so woman might treat you wrong. Well, now, drop down, mama, let your daddy see what you got. Something, mama, that keeps on hurrying me. Well, my mama don't allow me stay out all night long. Son, you're awful young, I said, so woman might treat you now. Son, you're awful young, I said, so woman might treat you now. Son, you're awful young, I said, so woman might treat you wrong. Well, I'm sorry there weren't more of you. That's partly my fault. I hope you all had at least a decent time here tonight. I didn't bore you to tears. If you'd like, I can arrange for a refund for all of your admissions. But that's actually pretty easy. No, I really do. I do a lot of libraries. I play with a band also, and we do a lot of libraries. We still do clubs and bars and nightclubs, but I think the library environment is just so much more fun because A, people actually listen. B, there's nobody in the back yelling for Free Bird or asking why we don't do songs by Pearl Jam. So we do appreciate what you guys have done here for us tonight, or for me tonight anyway. Thank you very much. I did have a hit. Wasn't here. My band and I recorded a CD, a live CD. It's interesting. I have to explain to young people what CDs are, It's funny, I had to explain to my children when they were growing up. They said, "What are those big plastic things in the corner?" And I said, "They're records. There's music on there." And my daughter said, "Really? There's music on there?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "There's a big plastic platter with grooves cut in it, and you put it on this thing called the turntable. It spins around, and you drop an arm on it with a little needle, and it scratches on the plastic, and music comes out." And they looked at each other and said, "Yeah, the 60s. So now I have to explain to people what CDs are. It doesn't stream, it just comes right out of your CD player or your car. My son said, "Where's that music coming from?" I said, "The CD player." He goes, "What's that?" So anyway, we recorded this album at the Great Notch Inn in Little Falls, New Jersey. I don't know if you've probably passed it if you've ever been on Route 46. It's a little log cabin roadhouse. They've not put a nickel or a nail in the building in 70 years, but it's a really great place. People get scared because of the motorcycles outside, but all the motorcycles I found out belong to doctors and dentists. Nobody can afford those motorcycles anymore. So we had this record, and I got a call from our agent. He goes, you guys are getting massive airplay. Lollipop Mom is zooming up the charts. I said, "Where?" They said, "Australia. We got to get to Australia." So we put together a whole bunch of gigs to save money so we could take the band to Australia and tour to support the song. And by the time we made enough money to be able to get everybody to Australia, the song wasn't getting airplay anymore, so nobody wanted to hire us there. But this is the song. And by the way, the album was called Standing Room Only. And we thought that was a great name because people think it was like a sold out night, but the real reason it was Standing Room Only is that there are no chairs in the Great Notch. Got a big fat mama, call me her lollipop. Got a big fat mama, call me her lollipop. And when she starts to love it, she never knows when to stop. She a real strong woman, like steel on a railroad track. She a real strong woman, like steel on a railroad track. And when she picked me up, well, she'd almost break my back. Well, slow down, mama, you hurting me. Slow down, mama, you hurting me. I got a real good feel from my head down to my feet. Well, she shake like jelly, but jelly don't shake that way. Yeah, she shake like jelly, but jelly don't shake that way. She's a hot rockin' mama, rock me both night and day. Well, she rocks in the morning and in the midnight too. Well, she rocks in the morning, in the midnight too. I don't wanna complain, 'cause she might suffer too. Well, she rocks in the morning, in the midnight too. Well, she rocks in the morning, mama, in the midnight too. I don't wanna complain, 'cause she might suffer too. Got a big fat mama, call me her lollipop. Big fat mama, she called me her lollipop. Starts to love and she never knows when to stop. Thank you so much. Good night. You guys have been a wonderful audience. Thank you so much.